Welcome to Tidbit Talkin. Have some ideas about a fictional thing, each one featuring different levels of seriousness. Spoilers, here we go. The wind getting all funky is likely what caused Galuf to land improperly and thus be rendered amnesic. Benevolent spirits sealed by this world splitting may have helped the crystals hold on until these warriors of light could be led to each other. This involves things like those new caves being formed, particularly that one which apparently only exists so the first three party members can get a peek at Ferris's Sildra-pulled ship right before meeting her. On that note, Boko, being quite in tune with nature, might have made him sense his traveling buddy's importance in some way, which resulted in said favorite feathered friend literally pushing him into helping as soon as possible. Under normal conditions, the elemental power doodad's standard mythical energy flowing through the globe must be what allows folks to develop the job classes and the respective abilities over years of training their bodies and learning skills through more traditional practice sort of means. You only immediately empower talented Chosen One types like this when the planet is super in danger. Perhaps King Tycoon's getting pulled in and out of the void by his possessor in an early attempt at trying to control its might during this waning sealed state hoopla. Before X-Death's Devout started tampering with things, the Crystal Room teleporters may have functioned two ways so Sid and those he taught about the amplification devices could perform maintenance more easily. This drunk guy is doing a poor job of saying Lena and his captain look alike. Zoc has a room ready that he deems fit for royalty because the king and his trusted advisors would often need to stay in Tool while consulting him about canal fixing shenanigans. The group doesn't question about the key any further because they assume Barks' keen adventurer's eye allowed him to spot said deal dropped by that old dude near his house. If they didn't find it, Ferris likely would have tried picking the lock or simply ramming through with the ship itself or something super strong serpent friend related. In addition to needing to recover from a concussion, the remaining three must let Ultra Grandpa take the bed because them being closer in age means there's generally more to talk about. Also, people who don't remember anything likely can't chat as much either. This world map may have been drawn shortly after the Sundering. It'd be paired with one from just before that the Explorer used for references when creating said deal, hence directions still being usable once things refuse. Also, Galuf must have had something with him that the party peeked at once he regained his memories, and generic leader guy's keen adventuring sense allowed him to easily memorize it. Also the same for Secretly, but with pirate captain navigation what have you. And openly a princess, by using diplomacy whatever. These literal headstones may owe their existence to children with exceptional magical power, accidentally summoning them into being by misunderstanding the term's typical meaning. Lena had Ferris feed the Windrake to test certain suspicions that she was actually her long-lost twin sister. Instinctual recognizing through regular action and all that. Fatally wounded Sildra must have been swimming against the force of that continental chunk sinking. Karnak's army doesn't care about strangers buying items because you can't use a potion to tear down that wall they just built or break into the castle. The ship's engine is just powered by heat in general and can't help but siphon off the overworked fire crystal. Hence it's still working after a few simple adjustments once the aforementioned deal's gone kaput. The liquid flame must normally be the fuel form of the magical hotness the water vessel powers itself with. Typically it later spreads throughout the rest of the place in said state. Those two shards actually intentionally flew off to help guide the group towards Crescent Island and the airship. That bookshelf lets visitors buy once Ifrit's accompanying them because not being a jerk is the only reason it has been burnt down like most possessed stuff in the library. Biblos must have been part of a squad excess summoned for escape attempting action immediately after the Dawn Warriors sealed him. That's why it first appeared near one of the seal sources in the Wind Shrine. Said original recipe Chosen Ones beat him back, of course. The quakes beneath Partial Moon Isle were most likely caused by extra deceased forces trying to break into the Earth Crystal's ruins. Bart instantly recognizes the sound of a chocobo having something stuck in his throat from all the times his best bird buddy ate too fast. Dorgan's demise may have occurred because one of X-Death's minions poisoned him so freeing his master could get going smoothly again. Lix only has a multi-purpose ailment-ridding spell available to learn because that's what they were studying to try and cure their beloved Stella. The eastern storehouse that contains two cottages must have been for hidden supplies used when the king secretly still searched Sarissa out every day. Sid could find out about the planet's energy source originally being more powerful, but not how the rockets built an amplifier because they realized how dangerous their actions were and didn't want to spread the info which almost ended things, but still desired for someone else to figure out the former's reason so potential crises could get solved later. In other words, they screwed up fixing a deal that still needed tending to and wanted to pass the torch without accidentally setting the world ablaze. X-Death can manipulate the crystals so easily because he's originally a tree and thus part of the planet they empower. Meteorite travel must involve a process like weird world merging. It would have gotten discovered earlier on when folks tried to fuse them back without unleashing the void. Titan got all mad after the dirty rock broke and traced it back to strange energy coming from various alien stones. It's all more or less some sort of revenge-filled immune response kind of deal. That cell's not locked because this castle's real form doesn't allow it. Magic is blocking the ones upstairs as part of protective glamour malarkey. This mode is, in fact, the Windrake's toilet. The Great Sword was a souvenir from a mission that accidentally got flushed during his hygiene time. Ninja's tendency to grant ambidexterity in this series may be the result of training with twin hands being a requirement for disguising oneself as anybody who's proficient with both, too, or at least the less common left. Golem attacking solo is him trying out the summon right granting battle test thing, but not excelling at it because he's defensively focused. There may be a greater proliferation of sinister plants on this world because that's where X-Death was grown born. His corrupt branches spreading everywhere and whatnot. Dude must have spent lots of time sowing evil roots underneath Guido's island to do that at just the most annoying moment. Atomos may have been created in another experiment performed by Captain Callously Clunky to access the void without refusing reality. This world's crystal segments were weaker already even without a tech thing draining them because creating the sealed force in the first place almost did them in. X-Death can't destroy these things immediately because they're still partially protected upon getting released. Only Galf's overwhelming love for Krill was able to generate a force that could fully get through the half-depleted barrier. Great Guidance Guy may be a mutant of the Gill Turtle species who wound up supremely intelligent, hence him being able to one-on-one Mr. Main Malice later down the line. There are lots of shortcuts in this place because flesh walls actually don't last that long, so new patches must constantly be added with fresh victim materials, which the owner hasn't had so much time to scour for lately given the desperate crystal seeking and all that. Regular Banis doesn't work so well in the party because crystal shards tether them to normal reality. Thus, the typical gameplay variety simply knocks them out. This automatic defensive sorcery junk may cause an end result that's something along the lines of, the energy keeping them fight ready is what gets pulled into another universe. X-Death may have developed the ability to remove all air from a person's immediate vicinity during even more magical experiments focused on opening the void. Boko had enough time to meet Coco and conceive and deliver children while the heroes were out cold because time distorted as the world's fuse and those in the already altered Fatal Fortress were the most behind. The tome getting ripped in twain must have been a test for the world sundering spell. It details the locations of the secondary sealing before the final one, aka the original crystal areas, so folks can figure out how to restore them again in the new old world. The merging must have forced that book into a place and onto a page these scholars would see immediately. Enemies that cast zombie probably always carry holy waters on them because they're terrified of their allies getting turned due to friendly fire. The interdimensional rift opening up seemingly granted Sildra's spirit an opportunity to pass through as a summoned monster. The tablets turning to dust sort of resembles crystal shards. Perhaps they were formed in a similar fashion by the void after sundering stuff took place, meaning they're made out of more or less identical mythic materials. Armored awfulness can command these ancient monsters so easily because the many souls which compose them likely include allies from before they were imprisoned. The Black Chocobo must have been thought extinct because most of them were sucked up into the void along with this also forest-contained village. Oh, and these citizens have all that powerful magic and weaponry because they have plenty of time to figure out such stuff with agelessness going on and everything. The Windrake's connection to the Phoenix may be why one or two species members always seem to mysteriously appear whenever they're believed to be wiped out. Also, Bahamut's power could be what lets that last-mentioned creature transform and suddenly survive like that. A divine dragon likely holds a soft spot for the more intelligent, regularly mystical ones, after all. This sealing isn't just to keep the weapons away from evil wielders. It's also so their quality remains peak throughout the eons. They just can't see well enough underwater to identify any monsters. After they mimic his nothing, he sends himself to nothing. Even his apparent demise involved his favorite hobby. These dwarves likely felt the need to craft such high-quality weapons and armor to defend themselves against the dangerous unknowns surrounding their kingdom. The Dwarven Kingdom was likely inaccessible in Galf's world since there wasn't enough mass available to allow them visitors. Oh, and the possibility of traveling meteorites must have been a side effect of the leaking sealed meteor spell. Twin lances don't hit twice per attack with rapid fire because they can't be spun around quite right when attacking too quickly. Leviathan carries a reflect ring because he wants you to have an easy time with his scaly superior summon Sir Showdown. Phantom Village is specifically stuck in the moment this rift just came back into contact with the world, and before that it was the moment snatching stuff happened. Hence the Black Chocobo still being present if you freed it earlier. Gilgamesh confuses protagonist party people for monsters at first because he's seeing reflections of such things within all these crystalline structures surrounding the final area. The Crystal enemies must be new planet-powering pieces that are attempting to form from nothingness but fail due to villain interference shenanigans. Well-armed battle lover fully healed himself repeatedly so he'd potentially survive self-destructing by getting reverted to his previous form. The good part of the Void admired his sacrifice and thus let him regularly re-emerge in different universes for fun. Inuo decided to hide the Ragnarok in a chest nearly invincible Shinryu liked hanging out by because he witnessed how effective a certain paladin was with a weapon in another reality as he attempted to take control of the Void and didn't want any opposition wielding similar might. Wicked Wood turns into his true tree form now because he wishes to take wretched root throughout the entire multiverse. Galuf likely learned how to become a controlled spirit first due to determination discovered in his last stand against X-Death and taught the others after passing on for just this occasion. The crystals likely brought King Tycoon back in a similar manner, so more emotional impact could be had on the other side of the party. Neo most likely wishes to destroy itself because, as a being made of countless evil souls, the likes of which probably don't include very many loyal and or friendly folks, there'd be at least hundreds of them in there that originally wished to kill hundreds of the other ones. All that costume leveling up the characters did, in combination with returning to their point of origin, the Void, granted the shards enough strength to reform their crystals. Also, that time rewind distortion deal likely played a huge part. A wind crystal returned last because its shards roamed the most before rejoining. Perhaps Balk had to determine its new leader because succession traditions relied upon the original shape of Galuf's world, like some sort of globe-traveling test deal. Oh, Grumpy Greatness was probably able to do his recently mentioned and powerless stand because he also absorbed the strength of his Earth soil-related crystal. Those 3 chocobos are likely Boko plus 2 from the larger forest he and Coco went to live in following their children being born. Endings are a pain, but all of you are fantastic. See ya.